The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, by Robin Sharma. Introduction. He collapsed right in the middle of a packed courtroom. This wasn't just any man. This was Julian Mantle, a legal titan, a man as famous for his $3,000 Italian suits as for his unbroken string of victories. To the outside world, he had it all: a mansion in a celebrity neighborhood, a private jet, a summer home on a tropical island, and his most prized possession, a shiny, cherry-red Ferrari that sat like a trophy in his driveway. He was the living, breathing definition of success. And yet, there he was, on the floor of the courtroom, reduced to a helpless victim, squirming and sweating as a massive heart attack brought his magnificent world crashing down. At 53, he looked like he was in his late 70s. His marriage had failed, he was estranged from his family, and for all his wealth, his life had lost all purpose. This heart attack wasn't just a medical emergency, it was a wake-up call from his own soul. So, he did something that shocked everyone. He vanished. He sold the mansion. He sold the jet. And yes, he sold the Ferrari. He traveled to the mystical land of India, searching for answers to life's deepest questions. 3 years later, a man walked into his old law firm. He was tall, lean, and muscular, glowing with a vitality that seemed almost divine. No one recognized him at first. It couldn't be. This man was the picture of perfect health, peace, and happiness. But it was him. It was Julian Mantle. The ghost-like complexion, the sickly cough, the morbid expression, all gone. He had undergone a miraculous transformation. What secret had he discovered high in the Himalayan mountains? What timeless wisdom could turn a broken man into a master of his own life? That is the story we are going to explore today. Robin Sharma's modern classic, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, isn't just a book, it's a fable, a roadmap for fulfilling your dreams and reaching your destiny. By the end of our time together, you will hold the keys to that very same transformation. You will learn the 7 timeless virtues for an enlightened life, a life filled with more joy, purpose, and peace than you ever thought possible. So, let's begin. Book summary. Our story really starts after Julian's incredible return. His old colleague, John, sits across from him, completely stunned. The man before him looks decades younger, radiating a calm energy that is simply magnetic. How did this happen? It wasn't a magic pill or some secret surgery. It was a journey inward. Julian begins to tell his tale. He explains that his heart attack was just a symptom of a much deeper problem. His life, for all its glitter, was spiritually bankrupt. His doctor gave him an ultimatum: give up the law, or give up your life. For Julian, this wasn't a punishment, it was a golden opportunity. He sold everything that tied him to his old, empty existence and boarded a plane to India. For months, he traveled from tiny village to tiny village, learning from a culture steeped in ancient wisdom. He met teachers who welcomed him with open hearts, but he was still searching for something more. He kept hearing whispers of a mystical group of monks, the great Sages of Sivana, who lived high in the Himalayas. Legend said they had discovered a system to unlock the full potential of the mind, body, and soul. Finding them, however, was said to be impossible. Many had tried, and many had failed. But Julian, with the same tenacity that made him a legal legend, set off alone into the treacherous mountains. For 7 days he climbed, his body weak but his spirit determined. Just as he was about to give up hope, he saw a figure in a flowing red robe. This was Yogi Raman, the eldest sage of Sivana. Seeing the sincerity in Julian's heart, the sage made him a deal. He would share their entire system of wisdom, but on one condition: Julian had to promise to return to the West and share these timeless truths with everyone who needed to hear them. Julian agreed instantly. And so, he was led to the lost village of Sivana, a tiny paradise made entirely of roses, hidden in a lush green valley. It was here that his real education began. The sages taught him that all their wisdom, the 7 timeless virtues for a life of joy and fulfillment, was contained within a single, mystical fable. It's a strange little story, so stay with me. Picture this: you are sitting in the middle of a magnificent, lush green garden. The garden is filled with the most spectacular flowers you've ever seen. In the center of this garden stands a towering, 6-story red lighthouse. Suddenly, the lighthouse door creaks open, and out stumbles a 9-foot-tall, 900-pound Japanese sumo wrestler. He is naked, except for a pink wire cable covering his private parts. As he wanders around the garden, he finds a shiny gold stopwatch half buried in the dirt. He slips it on, but immediately loses his balance and falls to the ground with a loud thud, unconscious. Just as you think he's gone, the fragrance from some nearby yellow roses awakens him. He jumps to his feet and looks to his left, where he sees a long, winding path covered in sparkling diamonds. He takes this path, and it leads him to a life of everlasting joy and bliss. Now, Julian admitted that when he first heard this, he was disappointed. He expected some profound, earth-shattering lecture. Instead, he got a silly story about a sumo wrestler. But Yogi Raman smiled and said, "Never overlook the power of simplicity. Every element in that fable is a symbol for one of the 7 virtues. And if you can remember the story, you will hold the keys to an extraordinary life." Let's break them down, one by one. The first virtue is found in the magnificent garden. The garden, Julian explained, is a symbol for your mind. If you cultivate your mind, if you nurture it, fertilize it, and pull out the weeds, it will blossom beyond your wildest expectations. But if you let it run wild, if you allow toxic thoughts to take root, you will never find true peace. Think about it. You would never let someone dump toxic waste in your backyard. Yet, how often do we let toxic thoughts poison the garden of our minds? Worries about the past, anxieties about the future, self-doubt, and fear. These are the weeds. The sages taught a profound truth: you cannot afford the luxury of a single negative thought. Worry is the biggest culprit. It drains your mind of its power and, eventually, it injures your soul. The sages discovered that the average person has about 60,000 thoughts a day. What's shocking is that for most people, 95% of those thoughts are the same ones they had the day before, and the day before that. It's what Julian calls the tyranny of impoverished thinking. People become captives of their past, replaying the same negative loops over and over. But here's the secret: your thinking is just a habit. And like any habit, it can be changed. The first step is to become the guardian at the gate of your mind. You choose what comes in. To do this, Julian learned a simple but powerful technique called the heart of the rose. It's a form of meditation. You take a fresh rose and find a silent place. You then fix your gaze on its center, its heart. You notice its color, its texture, its fragrance. At first, your mind will wander. That's normal. The mark of an untrained mind is its inability to stay still. But each time it wanders, you gently bring it back to the rose. With daily practice, you can hold your focus for 5, 10, even 20 minutes. This simple act trains your mind to be a servant, not a master. It builds concentration and stillness, creating a deep sense of inner peace. Another technique is called opposition thinking. The mind can only hold one thought at a time. So, the moment an undesirable, negative thought enters your mind, you consciously replace it with a positive one. If a thought of fear appears, replace it with a thought of courage. If a thought of sadness appears, focus on a memory that brings you joy. It's like changing a slide in a projector. With enough practice, the negative thoughts lose their power and stop visiting altogether. Finally, the sages practiced the secret of the lake. They believed that everything is created twice, first in the mind, and then in reality. They would go to a perfectly still mountain lake and, looking at their reflection, visualize their dreams as if they were already real. They would see themselves being more disciplined, more courageous, more joyful. The mind works in pictures. When you consistently feed it inspiring images of the person you want to become, your subconscious goes to work to make that vision a reality. Mastering your mind is the first and most important step. Because your outer world is always a reflection of your inner world. But a well-tended garden isn't enough if you don't have a destination. This brings us to the second virtue, symbolized by the towering lighthouse. The lighthouse represents purpose. Its bright, unwavering light cuts through the darkest storm, guiding ships safely to shore. In the same way, a clear purpose guides your life. The purpose of life, the sages taught, is a life of purpose. Lasting happiness doesn't come from relaxing or having nothing to do. It comes from achievement. Not just material achievement, but the steady, progressive realization of your goals, goals that are aligned with your life's mission, what the sages called your dharma. Your dharma is your unique calling. It's that thing you were born to do, the work that taps into your greatest talents and serves the greater good. When you discover your dharma, your life catches fire. You wake up energized, because you know exactly where you're going. To illustrate this, Yogi Raman, who was a master archer, once put a blindfold on Julian. He then shot an arrow at a rose pinned to a tree 100 feet away. He missed, by a lot. The lesson was simple: you will never be able to hit a target that you cannot see. Most people drift through life without ever defining their targets. The sages, on the other hand, were masters of goal setting. They had clear objectives for their physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual lives. So how do you bring this into your own life? Julian shared a 5-step method for attaining any goal. First, form a clear mental image of your outcome. See it, feel it, experience it in the workshop of your mind. Second, create positive pressure. This isn't negative stress. It's about committing publicly. Tell people your goals. This creates accountability and makes you less likely to back down when things get tough. Third, attach a timeline. A goal without a deadline is just a dream. Write it down. A goal that isn't on paper is not a goal at all. Julian suggests creating a dream book, a journal filled with your goals, desires, and inspiring pictures of what you want to achieve. Fourth, follow the magic rule of 21. It takes about 21 days of consistent action to form a new habit. Whether it's waking up early or practicing meditation, do it every single day for 3 weeks, and it will become automatic. And the fifth and final step is to enjoy the process. Happiness is a journey, not a destination. Don't put your life on hold while you chase your goals. Savor the small victories, learn from the setbacks, and find joy in the climb. So now you have a pristine garden and a lighthouse guiding your way. What comes next? Our story takes us to the curious figure of the sumo wrestler. The 9-foot-tall, 900-pound sumo wrestler symbolizes the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen. Kaizen means constant and never-ending improvement. It's the art of self-mastery. The sages believed that success on the outside begins with success on the inside. To improve your health, your relationships, or your finances, you must first improve yourself. Self-mastery is the DNA of life mastery. This isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being superior to your former self. The only limits in your life are the ones you set for yourself. To practice Kaizen, you must constantly push yourself out of your comfort zone and into the zone of the unknown. Do the things you fear. If you fear public speaking, give 20 speeches. If you fear failure, try something where you know you might fail. Fear, Julian learned, is just a mental monster you've created. When you conquer your fears, you conquer your life. To live a life of Kaizen, Julian was given 10 ancient rituals, which he called the 10 rituals of radiant living. They are designed to cultivate your mind, body, and soul. 1. The ritual of solitude. Spend at least 15 minutes every day in pure silence. Find a quiet place, a sanctuary of the self, where you can just be. Silence connects you to your creative source and renews your spirit. 2. The ritual of physicality. As you care for your body, so you care for your mind. Invest at least 5 hours a week in vigorous exercise. Yoga, walking in nature, anything that gets your blood moving. The sages believed breathing was key. Most of us breathe shallowly. Learn to breathe deeply from your abdomen, and you will unlock incredible reserves of energy. 3. The ritual of live nourishment. Fuel your body with live foods, a diet rich in fresh vegetables, fruits, and grains. A vegetarian diet, the sages said, is what nature intended. It gives you strength and vitality without draining your energy on heavy digestion. 4. The ritual of abundant knowledge. Become a lifelong learner. Read for at least 30 minutes every day. Don't just read anything. Read books that nourish your mind and spirit. Study the lives of great people. Every answer to every problem you will ever face is in a book somewhere. 5. The ritual of personal reflection. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to reflect. What did you do right? What could you have done better? This simple habit creates self-awareness, which is the first step to personal growth. 6. The ritual of early awakening. Rise with the sun. The quality of sleep is more important than the quantity. 6 hours of deep, uninterrupted sleep is better than 10 hours of tossing and turning. The way you start your day determines the tone of your day. Begin with positive thoughts, gratitude, and maybe even a good laugh. 7. The ritual of music. Never underestimate the power of music. It can lift your spirits, change your mood, and inspire you in an instant. Have music playing in your home, in your car. Let it be the soundtrack to your life. 8. The ritual of the spoken word. Use mantras to free your mind. A mantra is just a simple phrase repeated over and over to create a positive effect. Julian was taught to repeat, "I am more than I appear to be, all the world's strength and power rests inside me." The words you say to yourself shape your self-image, and your self-image determines your actions. 9. The ritual of a congruent character. Your character is built through daily, incremental action. Live by a set of higher principles: industry, compassion, humility, patience, honesty, and courage. When your actions align with your principles, you feel a deep sense of inner peace. 10. The ritual of simplicity. Reduce your needs. Live a simple life. Focus only on your priorities. Stop living in the thick of thin things. This doesn't mean giving up your ambitions, it means clearing out the clutter, both physical and mental, so you can focus on what truly matters. These 10 rituals are the foundation of self-mastery. But even a master needs one more crucial virtue, which brings us to the pink wire cable. The wire cable wrapped around the sumo wrestler symbolizes discipline and willpower. A single wire is weak and flimsy. But when thousands of tiny wires are woven together, they form a cable stronger than iron. Willpower is the same. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build, one small act at a time. When you choose to get up early instead of hitting snooze, you add a wire. When you choose to hold your tongue instead of reacting in anger, you add a wire. When you push yourself to do something you don't feel like doing, you add another wire. The sages believe that a lack of willpower is a mental disease. But the cure is simple: use it. Willpower is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. One of the most powerful exercises is the vow of silence. Try going an entire day without speaking, unless directly asked a question. Each time you feel the urge to speak, you consciously curb that impulse. This simple act dramatically strengthens your will. Building willpower gives you true freedom. Most people have liberty, they can go where they want. But they lack freedom because they are slaves to their impulses. They are reactive, tossed about by every distraction and crisis. A person with a will of iron is in control. They are proactive. They have the freedom to choose what is right over what is merely urgent. They are the master of their world, because they have first mastered themselves. Our sumo wrestler has cultivated his mind, found his purpose, committed to self-mastery, and built an iron will. But in the fable, he slips on something and falls. It's the shiny gold stopwatch. This stopwatch is a symbol of our most precious and non-renewable commodity, time. Time, Julian learned, is the great equalizer. Rich or poor, we all get the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary one lies in how we use those hours. Time mastery is life mastery. The sages weren't obsessed with productivity in a stressful way. They were simply ruthless with their time, because they valued it. They lived by what Julian calls the ancient rule of 20. This is the 80-20 principle. 80% of your results will come from just 20% of your activities. Think about your own life. How much of your day is spent on low-value tasks? Mindless scrolling, gossip, worrying about things you can't control? Now think about the high-impact activities, the deep work, the meaningful connections with loved ones, the time spent on your health and personal growth. The secret to time mastery is to focus all your energy on that 20% and have the courage to say no to everything else. Don't be a time thief to yourself. And don't let others steal your time either. Learn to politely but firmly guard your time. It is your most valuable asset. Perhaps the most powerful time management strategy Julian learned was the deathbed mentality. Every morning, ask yourself, what would I do today if this was my last day on earth? How would you treat your family? Your friends? Strangers? What would suddenly become important? What would you stop worrying about? This single question has the power to bring laser focus to your days and fill them with passion and urgency. The best time to plant a tree was 40 years ago. The second best time is today. Don't wait. In the fable, after the sumo wrestler falls, he is awakened by the beautiful fragrance of the yellow roses. The roses symbolize the sixth virtue, and it's one of the most profound: selflessly serve others. There is an ancient Chinese proverb that says, "A little bit of fragrance always clings to the hand that gives you roses." When you work to improve the lives of others, you can't help but improve your own. The quality of your life ultimately comes down to the quality of your contribution. This doesn't mean you have to quit your job and dedicate your life to charity, though some find great fulfillment in that. It's about a paradigm shift. It's about stop seeing yourself purely as an individual and start seeing yourself as part of a collective. It's about practicing daily acts of kindness. A sincere compliment, an unexpected helping hand, a moment of deep listening. These small acts ripple outward in ways you can't even imagine. Yogi Raman said that when we are born, we are crying while the world rejoices. We should live our lives in such a way that when we die, the world cries while we are rejoicing. This is the ultimate purpose of life, to live to give. And this brings us to the final element of the fable. After awakening, the sumo wrestler sees the winding path of diamonds. He walks it, and finds everlasting joy. The path of diamonds symbolizes the seventh and final virtue: embrace the present. The sages knew that the past is gone and the future is just an illusion. The only moment that is real is the now. Happiness is not a destination you arrive at someday. It is the path itself. It is a journey. So many of us put off our happiness. We think, I'll be happy when I get that promotion, or I'll relax when I retire, or I'll spend time with my family when this project is over. But that day never comes. Julian learned this the hard way. The tragedy that truly broke him before his heart attack wasn't his career stress, it was something far deeper. In a moment of vulnerability, he confessed to John that he once had a wife and a young daughter. But one day, a drunk driver took his daughter's life. His world shattered. He buried his grief in his work, becoming the obsessed, empty man he was before he left. That's why his most passionate plea was this: live your children's childhood. Don't be so busy climbing the ladder of success that you miss the most precious moments of their lives. Because one day, they will be grown, and that time will be gone forever. Don't sacrifice the present for the future. The diamonds are not at the end of the road. The diamonds are the road. They are the small, simple wonders of everyday life. The taste of your morning coffee, the warmth of the sun on your face, the sound of a loved one's laughter, the beauty of a sunset. To see these diamonds, you must practice gratitude. Spend time every day thinking about all that you have to be thankful for. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's abundant, and it anchors you firmly in the beauty of the present moment. This is the timeless secret of lifelong happiness. It is not in achieving more, but in experiencing more. It is in slowing down and savoring the journey. As Julian finished his story, the sun was rising. He stood up, embraced his friend like a brother, and walked out the door, leaving behind only one thing: an empty cup on the coffee table. A symbol that the student was now ready to fill his own cup with life. Commentary. What an incredible journey. From a courtroom collapse to a mountaintop monastery, Julian Mantle's story is a powerful reminder that it's never too late to reinvent your life. The beauty of Robin Sharma's book is that it wraps profound, life-altering wisdom in a simple, memorable fable. It takes ancient truths that have been passed down for centuries and makes them accessible and practical for our modern, chaotic lives. The core message, for me, is one of personal responsibility. It's the idea that you are the artist of your life. Your thoughts are the paint, your will is the brush, and your time is the canvas. You have the power, right now, to start creating a masterpiece. It doesn't matter what your past looks like. It doesn't matter what your current circumstances are. The moment you decide to take control of your inner world, your outer world begins to change. So much of our culture tells us to look outside for happiness, in possessions, in status, in achievements. This book gently turns our gaze inward. It reminds us that true success is about becoming more, not having more. It's about building an unshakable character, cultivating a peaceful mind, and living with a joyful spirit. The 10 rituals of radiant living, the 5-step method for goal attainment, the techniques for mastering your mind, these are not just abstract ideas. They are concrete tools. And the most powerful thing about them is that they rely on small, consistent actions. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. You just have to add one wire to the cable each day. You just have to tend to your garden for a few minutes. You just have to take one step down the path of diamonds. So, how can you start today? Let me offer you 3 simple actions inspired by Julian's journey. First, practice the ritual of solitude. Just for today, find 10 minutes where you can be completely alone and in silence. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just sit and be with yourself. Notice the thoughts that come up. Don't judge them. Just let them pass. This is the first step to becoming the master of your mind. Second, pick one small thing you've been putting off and schedule it. Maybe it's a 5-minute walk, reading one chapter of a book, or making that phone call you've been avoiding. Take that first, small step to strengthen your willpower and build momentum. And third, perform one unexpected act of kindness. Hold the door for someone, give a sincere compliment, or send a quick message to a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Experience for yourself the truth that the fragrance of the rose always clings to the hand that gives it. The monk who sold his Ferrari is more than a story, it's an invitation. An invitation to live more deliberately, to love more deeply, and to become the person you were always meant to be. That was our journey through The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. We've covered the 7 virtues and the timeless wisdom of the sages today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary, no matter how detailed, can only ever be a map. The real treasure is found on the journey itself. The true magic happens in those quiet moments when you're reading, and a single sentence or a simple story resonates with your soul in a way you didn't expect. This podcast is here to help you decide if this book is worth your time and attention. If anything we've talked about has sparked something inside you, I encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see your life, day by day. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and want to continue exploring the world's most transformative books, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It lets me know we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next deep dive into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing, together.